welcome to Make It Monday. Today, in this episode of Make It Monday, I'm going to show you how to make this amazing foam pillow. Check it out. Make It Monday is a series of step-by-step tutorial on how to make something. So let's get to making. This is the fabric that we'll be using. This is where we're going to be cutting it. It's a mess. Let me fix that. Alright, so much better. Still some stuff around, but I can use this, which is my ironing mat, and the two fabrics that I need. I cut the fabric to about 9 inches in height. Now we're just gonna iron it out so we take off all the wrinkles, and then we're gonna make it about 7 and 7 inches, 14, about 20, not 14, about 15 inches wide. Now this is super satisfying. Look at all the wrinkles right there. And look at them just kind of disappear. Now I've added the interfacing, but I need to iron it on. So this is fleece interfacing, which has been wonderful for my phone pillows. So now that it's like this, the recommendation when ironing on interfacing is to put it to have a little bit of steam. I had no idea, but apparently it does help. And then I iron it on just like this. And this has helped me so that it doesn't have any puckers or any areas that mess up. Now it's ready. Let's take it to the sewing machine. Here I am using the Singer Touch and Sew, I believe 618, but I don't remember what the number is. It's lovely. It's got a self-winding bobbin, and I already have the thread set up. So let's start. All right, now we sewed that part. Let's cut off the excess. You can use some pinky shears. I personally like the scissors. These were scissors gifted to me by my best friend. And we're just gonna trim the excess. This foam pillow is gonna be about 7 inches wide. All right, now that this is done, we are gonna mark a notch in the corner. The same thing over here. Now we gotta figure out, or like the middle, we gotta figure out which side we're gonna use. All right, so you can see it there. This is the top, so that means that we are going to sew on the bottom side right over here. See, there's a little bit of excess, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab my scissors and trim the excess interfacing, because I don't want it to mess up my edge. All right, so that's done. See, the little notch needs to line up right there in the middle. Now let's sew again. All right, now that the sewing is done, this is to the inside, so you don't really need to trim the thread. I still like to do it just because I'm extra. Now let's trim this right here, that right there, and now let's turn it around. Now once you turn it around, we're gonna now make the stopper that it's going to go right here at the bottom. But before then, let's make sure the corners are out. And for this, I'm using this little tool, which is for paper, to fold paper, but it's great for taking out the corners. All right, now let's make the stopper. With this, I'm gonna be using leftover fabric, and I'll show you how. Then after you're done doing that, you're gonna stuff it into your foam pillow, and that is going to be your stopper at the end. For this, I just use a bunch of scrap fabrics, cut them to size, and then after I'm done, to make it a little bit sturdier so it won't unravel once I put it in the foam pillow, I use thread, sometimes thread from bobbins that are about to loose or that are about to end, and then that way I am repurposing a little bit of that thread if I'm not going to use it on a bobbin or for a project. Now let's start sewing. All right, totally missed all the sewing, but pretty much you sew on the edge and then make a couple more lines up until it gets to be about 1 inch. Now let's sew the top. So for the top, I like to fold it over a little bit. And then you keep folding. You can give it a press and that helps. I typically just use my clips here to mark where the fold needs to be. Okay, there we go. And this creates a triangle, which then it's going to turn into your foam pillow like this. All right, so we're gonna fold right there. And now I'm also going to add my tag right here at the top. All right, the next step is to stuff it. So let's do that. Now it's completely stuffed, so now we have to sew it right here. I like to do it this way, that way it has a little edge, and then I don't have to worry about, you know, making a seamless seam right here, so everything will be the same. So here, because I need a little bit of space so my sewing machine, my foot can go through there, what I like to do is I pinch it together and then use some pins to give me that long edge right there. So this one needs to be a little bit longer. There we go. All right, now we're gonna sew right here. Oh no. As I was sewing, it ran out of bobbin thread, so let's thread that. So this is a self winding machine, which is pretty awesome. Just make sure your needle is right in the middle. Hold the top thread. There's a little target right here that you kind of move over, and then you start sewing. It's all done. You just push this little thing back on there and it's ready to sew. Get the thread out. I like to cut it, but you don't need to. All right, let's sew again. So it only did the top a little bit, so now let's continue right here, sewing all this area. We are done. So this was another episode of Make It Monday.